Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Public Sector Accounting course. And today we are in the third sessions with a specific topic about the International Public Sector Accounting Standards. So, at the first, I will say thank you for everyone who comes early to this Zoom meetings because it's very helpful to you have a take time before we can start the materials or we can make some discussions in these online classes. Okay, for the first part, we will look at the Ukrida virtual class. In this virtual class or UVC, we are on the third sessions in 10 March with the specific topic in International Public Sector Accounting Standard, IPSAS. I have take the material in here for the PowerPoint presentations, and in the end of the sessions, you have the quizzes. We have the quiz number 3, and this quiz will have the 5 minutes for the durations, and you get a 2 time for attempts to join or to solve this quiz number 3. And this quiz will close in Tuesday, 11th of March. It means tomorrow until the end of the day. Before we start the sessions, I will like to inform you that in the last meetings, I have take the sessions recording in the link in 3 months or the previous sessions. You can access the recording of material or our classes, and you can uh, make some individuals learning before we continue in the mid test or in the midterm actions. Okay, let me to open the material for today. Yeah, we're going to the topic talk about the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, or well known as the IPSAS. This is the part of the public sector accounting course in a chapter 3 with the specific ebooks that you can download in your virtual class. We have 6 of learning objectives to do in these sessions. We can start with the understanding of the context in the IPSAS developments. And then we explain the roles and the authority about the developer of IPSAS. We name the IPSAS boards. So this board will develop about the public sector accounting standards. And then we can identify about the key of standard while we have or we learn in the public sector standards. And then we can discuss the advantages and the challenges, how to create some adoptions in a global standard of IPSAS through the different nations. Next, we can compare about the public sector accounting standard with the financial reporting standard that has been applied for the commercial sector. At the end of the sessions, we will explore the global implementations of the IPSAS. So I hope this 6 of objectives will taken in short briefly, so you can deepen your knowledge between the discussions and also with the individuals reading by the ebooks that you can download in your virtual class. So we can start with the introductions to the public sector accounting standard or IPSAS. These standards is developed to enhance the transparency and the accountability, specifically for the public sector accounting. So the IPSAS with this standard will apply to the public sector entities. The standard named IPSAS is issued by the specific boards name of International Public Sector Accounting Standard Board, or we are well known as the IPSAS board. So the IPSAS board developed the IPSAS, or we learn as the standards, to focusing the public sector entities with the implementation of accrual-based accounting. Why we have the futures implementation to the accrual-based accountings more than the cash-basis accounting, because we still to make some progress and development in a governmental accounting process. So the board of the IPSAS, or we'll name of IPSAS board, have the specific role and the authority. While the board is the part of the International Federations of Accountants, or we known as IFAC. The IFAC will help the boards of these IPSAS boards to develop and promote about the public sector accounting standards for the public sector use only. So this is the first and the one only role of the IPSAS boards. And the authority that doesn't have the legislative of authority, but it's provide to create some global benchmarks between the global standard in IPSAS and the adoption in the specific countries. As we learned that the International Public Sector Standard Boards, or the IPSAS boards, we have lots of the standards. As the last of the implementations, we still have the exposure draft of IPSAS number 92. So we have a lot of the global standards. But for the key point to provide, or the minimum requirement providing about the public sector accounting reports, we need to implement about this specific of key standards. Is IPSAS number 1 to present about our financial statements in the financials public entities. And we also implement with the standard of IPSAS number 2. We'll take about the cash flow statement, and then the IPSAS number 6 to IPSAS number 8. It take about the consolidations statement. So we'll gather up lots of the units business or the units services provide in a government or the public sector purposes, and how they invest to the another entities. The another key standard is comes from the IPSAS 25. We talk about the employee benefits, that what is the cash benefits or the accrual benefits that will be implied to their employments. The last of the key standard that will be take about the IPSAS number 32 is take the action about the service concessions agreements. Because we are in the public sector entity, so lots of the decisions is based on the concessions, not by the shareholders. Because we doesn't have the shareholder, we only have the stakeholder. So the stakeholder, it means the publics or the citizens, they should have make some decisions in the part of concessions or in the lot of meetings. Okay, next we will make some comparisons between the public sector accounting standard and financial reporting standards. We start for the sector focus. While the IPSAS focusing on the public sectors, the financial reporting standard is focused on the private sector, because this standard will be applied for the profit purposes. The regulations in the public sector accounting is non-legally binding, while the IFRS is only applied in a list companies that will be listed on the specific or market territory in every countries. The standard is comes for the modifications, as we learn that IFRS will develop for business purposes only, so it will take or we have some specific standards for the profit entities or profit activities, while the IPSAS will develop by the modifications in the financial reporting standard. We start for the case-based accrual and become to the accrual based in accounting modifications. This is several benefit while the country adapt for the global standard in IPSAS. The adoption of IPSAS will enhance about the financial reporting transparency that will implement for the financial specific entities. It's also improving the comparability between the public sector in the specific country and having some benchmarks to the global countries. With the adoption of IPSAS, it's also strengthened the government accountability. And while they have the transparency and creating some accrual base in accounting implementations, it's facilitate to create some better of decisions making. That's the four kind of the benefit to adopting IPSAS in your country. But the adoption is not without challenge. In the implementations, we have the several challenges in the IPSAS implementations. We starting about the high cost transitions from the cash basis to the accrual basis. We have lots of transaction modifications in the case-based accumulations becomes to the accrual of accountings recordings. So we can spend lots of money to make some training, exercisings, and build up the capacity of our human resources. The budgets for the training and building up the capacity of our human resource will create some resistance from the government's complexity transactions. And it also, we have some barrier or challenges from the political and institutional supports. On the other hand, the global adoption of IPSAS is a must because most of the implementations is taken by the various of international organizations. We can check it for the international organizations like the United Nations or European Union and also with the NATO activities. Its growing adoption comes in the developing countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Bangladesh, and also with the several countries in Asia continents. The mix of adoptions is also development in the central and the local government level. So this is mandated by the IPSAS board to make some global adoptions. We have one example from the IPSAS adoption in the European Union. In European Union, they have the different standards. They called about the IPSAS. What is the IPSAS? IPSAS is the European Public Sector Accounting Standard. It's come from the IPSAS and adopting for or the tailoring for the European Union governance structure. So they will be make some different transactions and also with the specific implementations to harmonize with the public sector financial report in European member states. The IPSAS adoption is creating for new horizons in the public sector reform. It's linked to the implementation in new public managements. While it should be started in the 1980, in the global implementations. And the implementation of the new public management will encourage about the modification in accrual accounting that should be needed or improved in our governance. These improvisations will help to monitor about the government performance and a fiscal sustainability. So in the end of the implementations, the government will create some accountability while they have an accrual basis and also creating about the fiscal sustainability. In the future, the board or IPSAS board will continuing about the refining the new conceptual framework to implement the international public sector accounting standards. This IPSAS will be emphasized in several benefits like the social, the sustainability report, and the first time adoption or early adoptions. As they have the implementation or the adoption comes from the IFRS, the IPSAS will be copied about the benefit in social activities and also seeking for the sustainability actions, a similar like the profit entities. In the future integrations, we have dealing with the specific standard in a statistical, while it's doing in the internationals or in the global activities. So, in the end of the specific label in the IPSAS, this course or these sessions will provide you about the recognition of the framework that should be applied in the public sector entities. We name it IPSAS, International Public Sector Accounting Standards. The IPSAS adoptions creating some benefits for a specific country, including the transparency, the accountability, and also the comparability from the different countries into the global actions. But the benefits and the adoption is not without the challenges. They still have a challenges in implement and adopting in the different countries. But in the future, we have the optimistic about the focus on refining about the new standards or the conceptual standard, and we hope that the boards can make some increasing percentage of adoption in any countries. So this is the key points that we have learned or we need to learn in the IPSAS adoptions between the IPSAS boards and the needs of global standard in specific countries. Okay, from the sessions, from the beginning until the summary, do you have any questions to be clarified or to be explore or deepen the knowledge in international public sector accounting standards? You can raise your hands. Yes, Edsels?
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good.
Sir, I have noticed that we included high transition costs for the adoption
Yeah.
of the accrual basis of accounting from the cash basis. Uh, Sir, how do we incur those transitioning costs?
Okay. That's a good questions. Yeah. What is the cost incurred for from these transitions? Okay. We can start with the physical on and non-physical of course. What is the meaning of physical and non-physical? We start with the physical cost. We need a new software. We need to develop a new software because in the old of the management's accounting or maybe for the governmental accounting is mostly in the case basis. Now in the future or in the uh, end of the adoption of IPSAS, every country should be present their financial report in accrual base. So they need a new software, they need of new maybe for the new helps of website or maybe new implementation of standards to changing for from the case basis to the accrual basis. That's the first part from the physicals. The another one of physical activities is comes from the bookkeeping activity in accountants. I mean for the governmental accounting and also the public sector accountants. The second part is comes from the non-physical costs, like the training. It have lots of money or lots of a fee that we need to changes the mind of our old accountants from the cash basis to the accrual basis. Most of the accountant in government or public sector is uh, having the long journey or they have the lots of experience using the case basis, not in accrual base. So they need a lot of time of training and build up their capacity or their knowledge and informations how to transform for the case basis transactions become the accrual basis transactions. And uh, as far I know, that the lot of implementations or the lots of the trainings make some lots of the budgets, or maybe they can make some continuous but the training or continuous workshop and also the continuous implementations, not only in the one or the single activities in a training. They should be maybe assisted in the long time, maybe for more than 5 years. As you know, that's maybe for the Indonesian examples, we start in 2005 and we can end the accrual base or the cash base will become the fully in accrual base in 2015. So we have 10 year of lags to transition from the cash base to accrual base in Indonesia. So I think that the 10 year of cost spending for training and build up the capacity, I think is very high or very high cost to be uh, spending for make these transitions happen in my country. But it still depend on different countries. Maybe Philippines is having the fastest changes well we compare to Indonesia. But it takes maybe more than 5 years. It's still more than 5 years to spending to make this transition. So it will be spent of high cost for these transactions. Is it clear, Edsel?
Yes, sir. Thank you po.
Okay. Another questions? Okay. If you doesn't have any questions, you can check for this discussion questions. We have a fourth thing that we need to rethinking or regain for from these courses. What is the primary objective or the IPSAS? As we know that IPSAS will develop by the specific board. It's different from the IFRS. While they are the part of the IFAC, IPSAS is have the specific objective for the public sector entities only. So it will be separate the aim, the objective between the public sector and the financials or the profit sector. The second question that we need to rethinking is about how EPSAS will compare to the IFRS. As I said before, that the IPSAS is developed comes from the IFRS adoptions. So in the future, we hope that the public sector that in the current situations or the current condition still working in the cash-based transactions, in the future they can become or changing to the accrual-based transactions. So this is how we can make the different comparisons because the IPSAS is adapting from the IFRS. In the futures, maybe IPSAS will be similar with the IFRS, but we have not in the profits aim for the first thinking. We still in the service activity or the public's purposes. The next questions to be thinking about the major challenges to implement IPSAS. Different countries have the different challenges, but in a general, they have some challenges in high costs and also the spending a lot of time to create some training activities, implement or make some a good requirement to make these transactions before from the cash base to the accrual base. And the end of the discussion questions, we can learn how or why the IPSAS needs to be adopted in a local government and then the central governments, because the local government is the root or is the base of lots of every budgets in the governments. The central government budgets have the creating some budgets from the local government. So the first time for adoption will be start in the local governments, then the central governments. While we have the local government actions is very nice, very good, or very rigid in the standard, the central government will allow the local government standard. So we can adopt this IPSAS starting from the local government, and it could be happen and should be success in the local government first, then the central governments. So for the fourth time of the discussion questions will help you to deepen knowledge in adopting of IPSAS. Before I end the sessions, if you have any questions or comments about these materials, you can write or contact me in these emails, and I will be clarify for the another meetings. Okay. Another questions? Any questions? Okay. If it doesn't have any questions, you can look at again in I'm sorry. You can look at again. You can find your informations about the IPSAS board. This is the link of IPSAS board. This IPSAS board in the last informations, we have the exposure draft of standard number 92 is about the tangible of natural resources, but it's not the eligible standard. It's still in exposure draft. So it should be in a long process, maybe for 2 or next 3 years, that this standard will be legally applied to your countries or maybe in every countries. Okay. Next, we can close these sessions with the quiz number 3. I give you time maybe for mostly in 24 hours or until the next of the end of the day in the Tuesday. So we have lots of the questions. It takes 20 questions, but it's take the actions like the true and false. You just pick your questions. Oh, sorry, quick pick your answers. Is it the true or false in the statement? So you need to take for every attempts in 5 minutes for the durations of the quizzes, and you can make some new attempts, and I will allow you for maximum 2 attempts to finish this quiz, the quiz number 3. Is it clear for you? So I give you a time. This is your materials. You can deepen your knowledge, and I also will include the recording of the sessions in here after this class is closed or the end of the class, and you can take your time to answer the quiz number 3. Okay, I think that's all. Before we close the sessions today, in the session number 3, uh, do you have any informations to share for this class, Alexa?
No, there is not, sir. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
okay. No problems. Okay, thank you very much for coming and joining with the sessions. We have the another sessions with the topic about the consolidated financial statement in the public sector for 17 March. So I hope uh, you still in healthy conditions, and we can meet again in the next Monday at the same time at 7 p.m. in your country, and we can join to make some new insight from the other material in consolidated of financial statement. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining until the end of the sessions, and don't forget to solve and answer your quiz number 3. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week.